two teams to meet in the Super Bowl. But before that can happen, let's just talk about the game in general. Stephen A. He's smiling. I haven't asked.
Already see
yeah. Stephen A., what did we learn from the game?
Well, what we learned is that Green Bay's defense has the potential to step up when called upon to deliver the goods, which to me makes all this noise about them being the NFC representative in the Super Bowl coming up imminently, legit. From my perspective, because I was surprised to see their defense step up the way that they did, particularly in the fourth quarter. But that's about it. Outside of that, we didn't learn anything new. We were just reminded that there's a bad man in Green Bay.
Shocked.
I have been saying for
I
quite
did not
a
see
long
this coming.
You didn't think he was going to say that?
And that is definitely the situation. Skip Bayless,
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, 24-38. 368 yards, 2 touchdowns, matching, if not eclipsing, the great Tom Brady. I have been trying to tell you for quite some time. I understand Davante Adams, the rookie, came out of nowhere, performed. Jordy Nelson beat Darrelle Revis on that 45-yard touchdown catch. That was a sensational play on his part. The only mistake of the day, as far as I'm concerned, that Darrelle Revis had made. We saw guys step up when it counted most. Eddie Lacy, Randall Cobb, Jordy Nelson, Davante Adams, a rookie, others, the other Rodgers as well. I give them credit where credit is due. But when you have Aaron Rodgers, that bad man that he is, as your quarterback, great things tend to happen on the offensive side of the ball. Now, there were 4 occasions that they settled for field goals in the red zone. I certainly wasn't happy about that. Davante Adams dropped a touchdown pass. I wasn't pleased with that. But in the end, what it comes down to is simple. Aaron Rodgers is big time, bro. I've been trying to tell you for the longest time. You won't listen. The dude, you watch him scramble down, scramble out of the pocket and zip a pass down the right sideline. You see the passes that he threw, whether it was to Adams or to Nelson or to Cobb. You see him convert on a third to seal the deal, or the third down to seal the deal. It doesn't matter what you need from Aaron Rodgers, even with a scramble. It does not matter, Skip Bayless. Whatever needs to be done, this dude has the requisite skills to deliver the goods. I'm not going to sit there and bloviate about the statistical things, many nitpick and get meticulous and all of that stuff with you. I don't need to, Skip Bayless. It comes down to me saying what I have been saying for the longest time. And this time, Skip, I would ask you, I would implore you, out of, if no other reason, nothing more than sheer decency, to say it with me, Skip, and say it loud.
You better not.
He's a bad man. This Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in football. I tried to tell you.
You have tried to tell me. And I have tried to tell you, Green Bay is going to win the North. Where were we, at Michigan State, when you said that Detroit was going to win the North?
True.
I tried to tell you. I did. I tried to save you from yourself.
But wait a minute. It was because I don't believe in Green Bay's defense.
Okay.
And I still wouldn't believe in it in a Super Bowl against Tom Brady. But I do know that Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in football.
Okay.
That I know.
All right. So
that I know.
First up, I do want to congratulate Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers and the Packers fans for beating the NFL's best team and the NFL's best quarterback at Lambeau Field. Congratulations for doing that.
Please.
Aaron Rodgers, the bad man that he is, was just nothing but good yesterday. And my Patriots had to row their boat gently down the loser stream after that game. I take that. I accept that. Aaron Rodgers, though, didn't surprise me because he's almost always great at Lambeau Field. He's been unstoppably, astonishingly great this year at Lambeau Field. Now, when I hark back to that playoff game against the Giants, or the playoff game against the, who was that last year? Oh, no, I'm going back a couple of years.
Such a hater.
Oh, the 49ers, I forget about those. Okay, I'll forget. We'll leave those for another time. Yeah, okay, I won't bring those up. But I will say this. I am with you about your point about the defense. The shock to me was not that Aaron Rodgers was great. It was that the defense actually clamped down on Tom Brady in ways I did not think would be possible. that defense of yours, now that you're back on the Green Bay bandwagon, Stephen A., it created pressure. It generated pressure on Tom Brady on all the key passing downs. It held Tom Brady to only 4 out of 12 on third down. It held Tom Brady and company to 21 points, which I did not think was – didn't you have a high score in the game? It seemed like you did. Didn't you have it up in the 30s?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
I think so, yes.
Okay. So the key to the game for me was that New England was not able to generate much pass rush on Aaron Rodgers, while Green Bay was able to generate lots of pass rush on Tom Brady, especially when it mattered most. And I thought yesterday, for the first time, New England missed its best pass rusher. Chandler Jones is out, I don't know how much longer, indefinitely, with some kind of hip injury. Participated in a walkthrough last week. I was sort of hoping against hope he could play, but he couldn't, and he was sorely missed against the bad man yesterday at Lambeau. But despite all that, do you realize this game still came down to one play, one throw to Gronkowski in the back of the end zone? Remember this play with 3:31 left in the game? My Patriots actually had one late chance to win this game, and I did predict 28-24, and I'm thinking when the ball's in the air, I might have my 28 right here. And you know what, Stephen A.? I think this play was close enough that Bill Belichick missed the boat, that he should have at least challenged it, because it looked to me, and again, we can go back and forth on this, it was very close to Gronkowski controlling the football long enough to have a completed catch before one of the Packers DBs knocked the ball out of his hands. And he said after the game, I thought I had a catch, and then somebody made a nice play and knocked the ball out of my hands. What would constitute a catch? How long would you have to hold on to the ball? I thought it was worth a second look. We didn't get much of a look on the broadcast. They had to move on to the next play very quickly. Next play, obviously, was the sack of Tom Brady, then the missed field goal. So what was your view of the Gronkowski play? Were you nervous at all?
My view of it is that he didn't control it long enough for it to be a catch. I do think that if I were Belichick, it would be reviewable. It was something that I may have challenged. But I do believe that the right call was made because the defender's arm was in the vicinity. It was in the mix, and Gronkowski didn't control the ball long enough, for it to be a catch.
Okay. I thought there was a chance. I thought Bill missed the boat on that one, and then we came down to the final game-deciding play, which was 3rd and 4 for Green Bay. Remember the last play? Aaron Rodgers had enough time on that play to call Olivia Munn and make post-game plans. Yeah, he had like 12. Was it 12 seconds?
Yeah, it was a long time.
Harry says it was 12 seconds. It might have been 16 seconds. I'm not sure. But why? How can you not go after Aaron Rodgers on the game-deciding play, the clock-killing play? Are you really going to let him stand back there? Because if you give him that much time, I don't care if Revis and Brown are covering people. Little Randall Cobb's going to get open, and he did, and that was the end of the game. I thought Belichick too often played not to lose instead of going for the jugular in this game.
I don't view it that way, Skip Bayless. I think that in this particular situation, there's a rare occasion. It happens on occasion, but not all the time. This was one of those games where the competition was great. It was elite, and I think that you have to defer to respecting the game and respecting the competitors in this one. It was just it was a great game. It was one of those situations, Skip, where you can't afford to make those mistakes. I think that against anybody or almost anybody else, the kind of things that you're pointing to, we're not even thinking about in most situations. But this was elite competition. They were going at it. Look at New England. I could simply point to Green Bay having failed to convert in the red zone on 4 separate occasions. This could have been a blowout, but it wasn't because New England's defense held serve, and as a result of that, they limited Green Bay to 4 field goals, even though one was a short touchdown catch by Devontae Adams. He dropped it, and that would have been a touchdown. So I just look at it from the perspective that, you know what, it was elite competition. They were going at it. They treated it like it was playoff competition, and I appreciate that. I mean, I think both of them went at it, and I tweeted after the game, or actually during the game, it was after the game, when you saw Aaron Rodgers convert that 3rd down to seal the deal, and you saw Tom Brady's reaction on the sideline. he wanted the ball back so badly. You know, you just appreciate the greatness
Yep.
that Tom Brady brings to the table, because it's not just his greatness as a skilled quarterback, but his competitive fervor. I just loved seeing that in him. I loved seeing Bill Belichick on that field longer than I customarily see him, just congratulating Green Bay, whether it's Coach McCarthy,
Yep.
whether it was Rodgers. You're just saying to yourself, you can see the respect both have for one another and how elite the competition was on this particular day. You don't see it very often. Customarily, it's just sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Yesterday, it was respect. We saw that with our own two eyes, and I'm just going to defer to that. I mean, it could have gone either way. You know what? If Gronkowski had scored that touchdown catch, Skip, then that would have given Aaron Rodgers the ball.
It would have. And
with
I don't
over
know.
a minute and a half
Sure
left.
could have pulled it out. I completely agree with you.
But that's what I'm saying. So we don't know.
We don't know.
So that's I just appreciate the game.
I might suggest to you that Belichick went out of his way when the game ended to congratulate both coach and quarterback, maybe because he was trying to butter them both up a little bit, make him seem like a nicer guy to them for the potential Super Bowl rematch that we're going to talk about a little bit later here. You don't think so?
No. I didn't get that at all.
All right.
I didn't get that at all. To me, it was like, wait a minute. I have one of the greatest quarterbacks in history, and we went up against one of the great ones right here.
Okay.
To me, that's what that was about. It's
All
like,
right.
listen, look at the level of greatness on this field today.
Okay, now, before we leave the game behind, I got to talk about the one play that I believe lost the game for my Patriots, and it came at the end of the first half. It was the only breakdown of the day for them. A complete, to me, I think it was a blown coverage. I'm not sure about that. But remember the 3rd and 2 late in the first half? The Patriots had just seized momentum by cutting it to 16 to 14. And Aaron Rodgers saw that all of a sudden Revis had switched. Instead of taking a little Cobb, he took Jordy Nelson. And Aaron Rodgers called timeout, and I think they talked it over, and they said, if we go back, if we see the same look with Revis on Jordy, I'm going to go with this play to Jordy. And he ran the sort of deep crossing route. And, again, after the game, Revis said that Jordy pushed off and got away with it on Revis. I don't know if Revis was supposed to have help from McCourty across the middle, but he didn't for too long. And all of a sudden, Jordy Nelson got loose. And before you knew it, it was suddenly 23 to 14 at half. Now, that's a deep hole to climb out of at Lambeau Field, where the Packers have been invincible.
It may be a deep hole, and I pointed that out in my earlier soliloquy. But the point that I'm trying to make is that, you know, Revis opened up. He didn't close his hips. He didn't square up. He opened up and gave Jordy Nelson that lane. That's why you saw him throw his helmet to the ground when he got to the sideline. It was the only mistake that Darrelle Revis had made all afternoon long. And by the way, Jordy Nelson just reminded you how deceptively fast he is. I mean, because the boy can fly. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. The man can fly.
Some speed,
and I give him credit where credit's due. But let's also keep in mind, Skip Bayless, that the entire second half, what transpired? It was scored. New England won 7-3 in the second half.
Right.
That's about these two defenses showing up.
They did.
That's what this is about. Two defenses showed up in the second half, and offensively they were both neutralized to some degree. But it was just a great, great game. It was tense. It was high energy. They just went at each other. Yeah. And I loved it, man. I loved it. But Aaron Rodgers, he's a bad man.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think the Green Bay Packers are now a bad team, and I mean a good team, because my takeaway finally from yesterday was I'm pretty sure the Packers are going to win out. If they do, I'm pretty sure they're going to have home field advantage all the way to the Super Bowl.
And then they're going to the Super Bowl.
Okay, well, and they're going to eliminate the Hyde from the Jekyll and Hyde that they have become. I've told you before, they have become what New Orleans used to be when New Orleans was unbeatable at home but very beatable on the road. Well, this Green Bay team, again, got blown out at Seattle, got blown out at New Orleans, scored only 7 points at Detroit, struggled against the Vikings. We know they've had a couple struggles on the road where you said, what was that all about? Well, they could eliminate that glitch in their resume if they're at home.
Skip, let me say this. Let me say this last point, Skip. And let me make some news here. To me, if the Green Bay Packers get the #1 seed in the NFC, there's only one team that's going to Lambeau Field with a shot to beat them, and it is the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys?
It's the Dallas Cowboys. That's the
With
only
that defense
team
against
because